Hi, my name is Jessie Whitehouse. I'm a human resources consultant and I have been asked to do a book review for USB Ed. The book I review today is by Edward E Lawler. It is a book called Talent, Making People Your Competitive Advantage, and it is really all about focusing on talent and turning your organization into an HC-centric company. It provides a good framework on managing talent. A shortened version of my review follows. The book I'm going to be discussing with you today is Talent, Making People Your Competitive Advantage by Edward E Lawler. Now, Chapter 1. In the last several decades, an avalanche of business books, articles and seminars have stressed the importance of human capital, people, in gaining competitive advantage. And finally, it seems as if executives are paying attention. According to a recent survey of senior executives, the two most important management challenges are recruitment of high-quality people across multiple territories and improving the appeal of company culture and the work environment. What is needed are organizations that are designed from the boardroom to the front line in ways that optimize talent. And he calls this type of organization human capital-centric or HC-centric. And you're going to hear me talk about human capital-centric. I'll shorten it to HC-centric quite a lot. What are the major features of an HC-centric organization? The business strategy is determined by talent considerations, and this in turn drives human capital management. Every aspect of the organization is obsessed with talent management. Performance management is one of the most important activities. The IT system gives the same amount of attention to measures of talent, costs, performance as it does to measures of financial assets. The HR department in the HC-centric organization is the most important staff group. The corporate board has the expertise and information it needs to advise on talent issues. He then looks at what the two types of structure-centric organizations are. And he first of all focuses on the hierarchical bureaucracy. And this approach was actually used in the 50s quite a bit by leading corporations such as IBM, AT&T, Exxon, and also by most of your big US and European corps. So then we look at the second option from a structure-centric perspective, and that's really your low-cost operator. Jobs are not stimulating with low pay and few prospects. Minimum fringe benefits. Little training and development. Tight job descriptions. Top-down decision-making. Low job security. A lot of use of part-time and temporary employees. So the defining feature of a low-cost operator is a focus on gaining that competitive advantage, not through talent, because you're not going to attract talent to come and join you, but it's through low wages and benefit. Now, if you look at the HC-centric approach, there are two different approaches that Lawler specifically focuses on. The high involvement approach and then the global competitor approach. What are the characteristics of a high involvement organization? Firstly, enriched work designs, very participative decision-making structures, shared business information. They believe that unless they actually share exactly where the company is going, they're actually not going to really get the buy-in from the employees. They're committed to educating and developing their people because that's one way of making sure that they're going to be happy and they will stay with you. They're very career-orientated, reward for the organization's performance. They focus on the community, involve the families, they share leadership, and they're very committed to talent management. The other one, global competitor approach, they look at a global talent pool. Wherever they can find the best talent, they will go and buy that. They'll go offshore, they will outsource. Global competitors say, let's go out there, let's get the best talent in the world. We will pay them, depending on the performance and skills that they give us. We pay for performance. We give them sufficient training to do the best jobs that they possibly can in what we've brought them in for. They've got to take their own career in their own hands, so they've got to manage their own career. And if we lose them in a couple of years, that's fine, because we're already going to be looking for other talent. Now, the STAR model consists of 5 different points on the STAR. It starts with strategy. So before you can actually put an HCentric company together, you're going to have to look at the way you put your strategy together. And you can't just add on talent after having gone through all the processes. So you can't start with strategy, then decide on what structure you're going to use, then what are the processes, what are the decision-making processes, your budgeting processes, your communication processes that actually support the structure. What are those? Then look at the rewards, and then, people. Let's put some talented people in. Then chapter 4, managing talent. My passion in life. So HC-centric organizations excel only when they have outstanding talent. Now, we all know that to have outstanding talent, you need to make sure that you've got the talent management system. A management system that attracts the right talent, helps them understand what to expect from their work experience from the company. Jack Welch is quoted to say, talent management deserves at least as much focus as financial capital management. Now, this commitment to talent is part of why GE has been so successful. And Professor Lawler uses a professional sports team as an analogy, and I thought that was quite a good one, because we can all seem to understand what that means when you talk sports. So different approaches can be successful in sports. The New York Yankees are a classic global competitor who buys talent, whereas the teams like Oakland A's have championed the build strategy and pay lower wages and still win, although not perhaps as frequently as the Yankees. Managing performance, senior management commitment. Goals are cascaded down the organization and based on the business strategy. Not some arbitrary goal, but focused on strategy. Timely assessment of performance against goals. Measures of the skills individuals have. Separate discussion of pay and development needs. Regular ongoing feedback. The rewards tied to performance measures. An appropriate mix of rewards for not just for the individuals, not just for the group, but for the organizational performance. So it's that line of sight again. What am I contributing? What's my team contributing? Department, organization. So the information and decision-making processes that I've been mentioning. What's got to be present in all HCentric organizations? Sophisticated human capital information system that focuses on talent. The measures of the condition of an organization's core competencies and capabilities. Effective communication program for sharing business results with all employees. Keep them involved, keep them understanding. Public reporting of the condition of an organization's human capital. Decision processes that involve individuals in key decisions of human capital management. Reinventing human resources. What he's saying is that there is a huge opportunity that exists for leaders of HR functions to enhance their role in the business. All Lawler actually says, as part of an HC-centric organization, you have no choice. You've got to have someone take responsibility for organizing and managing talent. So there are 3 approaches possible. You can transform your existing HR function and become the go-to unit for human resources. You can do that. Your company leaders can replace HR, which they quite often do, with individuals who are up to the challenge. Or you could possibly outsource the administrative tasks of HR, the HR department. What is the current state of HR? Lawler thinks that it's considered unimportant in organizations, and I would agree with him. Execution of basic HR administration diverts HR from addressing issues like talent, organizational design, and effectiveness. And that's true. HR tends to be comfortable in dealing with administration. Some of us are pretty good at that. We get the power when dealing with union and labor law issues, because then the company needs you because you've got more knowledge than the actual company about these issues. And acting as a watchdog leads to HR being seen as a hindrance to effective talent management. I've seen that too. HR staffing, quality of HR staff, not always that great. It's seen as a career dead end. It's a silo department. The best individuals will progress up the line and they'll become the HR director. But how often have you seen HR directors become CEOs? I haven't. There's not sufficient business exposure and training. So how can HR add value? Once again, Lawler looks at some clear examples. Handle your transactional administrative side effectively or outsource. Provide business support in human capital management and organizational effectiveness. When you sit at that board meeting or if you sit in your team meeting, know the facts. Understand what the human capital in your organization is all about. Play an active role in establishment and implementation of the business strategy. Provide key data and services to the corporate board. Deep expertise in HR function and understand the relationship between HR and business effectiveness. Make HR a mandatory career stop. Before you actually appoint your next CEO, do a stint in HR. Talent in HR should equal or exceed that in other parts of the organization. Build your HR talent. Don't employ mediocre people. So what does this board need in order to deal with organizational effectiveness issues? They need enough power to have a significant influence on the way talent is managed. They need the extensive knowledge of the principles that govern behavior and how do the talent management systems work. They should be rewarded on the long-term effectiveness of the organization. They need to make time available to discuss talent management and the condition of the organization's competencies and capabilities. They need access to a number of metrics, which your HR department should provide, and they need to ensure that executive packages support management and reward human capital. Leading. What should all managers do? Become experts on performance management. Effective coaches committed to enabling people to perform. Expertise in talent management and organizational effectiveness. The ability to look into the future. Ability to create truth-telling and open communication. Ability to develop leaders across the organization and know how to walk the talk. Managing change. So, how do most of today's organizations stack up against the characteristics that are needed to be an effective HC-centric organization? I'd love to say, yay! No, they fall short. So most look and act more like structure-centric than HC-centric organizations. Now, why don't many leaders take this HC-centric approach? Inability. I think most managers today are not familiar with it. And if you go to a business school, they sure as hell not going to talk about talent. They're going to focus on managing financial assets. And unwilling. How many senior managers haven't invested all their time and effort in getting as far up the ladder as possible because they want the rewards that come with it? It's important to acknowledge that it is very difficult to change from a structured-centric to an HC-centric approach. If you look at the STAR model, all points, all 5 of those points need to change. And not only all 5, not just strategy, structure, processes, rewards, and people, but also the behaviors of your leaders and your corporate boards. In conclusion, it's one thing to say that people are our most important asset. It's quite another one to act on it. Those individuals, organizations, and countries that do the best job of acting on it will be the winners. Much of what needs to be done is very clear. It is time to do it. Professor Lawler really does give you the perfect framework of taking this HC-centric approach and turning your organization around. Thank you for listening. I'll take some questions now.